Welcome back to another episode of the Tacho Show. I am your host, your boy Tacho, and today we're going to be taking a look at Vaida, who is going to be our recent Grand Hero battle. She drops tomorrow, and she's a really, really good Grand Hero battle. One of the long-awaited ones, especially considering she comes with the Uber Spear, which is a very famous weapon from Fire Emblem 7. So we take a look over here. We can see her stat line. She's got 40 HP with a Super Bane on HP. She's got 47 attack, 37 speed, 47 defense with a Super Boon, and then 23 res. This gives her an overall BST of 194, which is very good, and it's going to enable her to score very well for Arena Mode, especially considering the fact that she does have a preference weapon. So stat line checks out, very good stuff here. High attack, high defense, which is typical of these Wyvern units. And then her speed is high enough that she'll be able to use skills like Wyvern Rift to her advantage. So very good. No complaints whatsoever from her stats. Then if we go ahead over here, we can take a look at her base kit. I don't know why the wiki hasn't updated yet. They have her map for the Grand Hero battle right here, but they don't actually have her page up yet, which I don't understand what the holdup is. But these are her skills. She comes with Spear, which is a preference weapon. She's got Dragon Fang as her special. And then we have Wyvern Flight 3 and Attack and Defense Rain 3 as fodder skills. Both pretty solid. Both of them have nice upgrades to level 4. So we'll definitely take the upgradable fodder skills from her. So here's her weapon, Spear. You should be very familiar with this if you've played FE7. So, grants attack up 3, has built-in distant counter. Also, at the start of turn, if HP is over 25%, grants the following effects to unit and allies in 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. Attack and defense up 6, neutralize effective against flying, and neutralize foes' bonuses during combat. All really, really great effects. Iote's shield as a support is pretty interesting. I think only Gilliam prior to this was able to do that. So just being able to get that as a support is pretty cool. The neutralize foe bonuses is a really good effect as well, because there's so many units that come out right now that just instantly give allies in 2 spaces 2 stats up 6, which Vaida herself does as well. She's giving attack and defense up 6. So not only is she an awesome unit herself, but she's giving a really good support to your allies, which is one of the best things these free-to-play units can do. And then also, at the start of combat, if her HP is over 25%, she gets a bonus to all of her stats equal to the number of foes in 3 columns of 3 rows, centered on her times 3, plus 5 with a max of 14. This is pretty much the standard rigmarole for these weapons now. Instead of getting all stats up 5, now we get all stats up 14 for this 3 column and 3 row condition. Some units want it to be enemies in 3 columns of 3 rows, and some want it to be allies, but the gist is the same thing. It's just a max of 14 to all stats, which is great. Then she also does 10% bonus damage based on her attack, and also reduces damage from enemy attacks by 10% of her attack. So this is in combat as well. In combat attack. So feel free to stack her attack as high as you want with passive skills that activate in combat, as opposed to hard boosting skills like Life and Death, Sturdy Wall? What's the one that does attack and defense again? I can't even remember. It's on Gregor. He has it. I think it's called not Stillwater. What is it? Man, this is going to bother me now that I don't remember Gregor's ace skill. Okay, so Solid Ground. That's the one. Solid Ground. Gives you attack and defense up 7. But you don't have to worry about all of that, because in-combat skills will work for her passive, which is fine. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do a little stat comparison between her and relevant prior released flying units of her ilk. So we have Zace over here, who released not too long ago. Literally, he is the last Grand Hero battle unit who came out, and he's just far worse than Vaida. He doesn't even have a preference weapon, and then I would say her stat placements are a little better. So he's got 3 more points of HP. He's got 1 more point of attack. She's got 1 more point of speed, and then she just annihilates him on defense. Plus 6 to defense. That's really good. And then he does win on res, but I don't think either of these units are going to be tanking any res attacks in the first place. So Vaida's just got better defense than him in the long run. The rest of their stats are irrelevant. And then she also has the preference weapon to work with, which puts our boy Zeiss completely out of the option for being a build or a merge project, unless he's your favorite character. Okay, and then we also have Glenn, another long-awaited GHB that we're very glad we were able to get. And he also came out pretty hardcore with an awesome preference weapon. So he's a little bit older. He gets 5 extra flowers, but the stat comparison here is that he has 4 more health than Vaida. He's got 1 less attack. He's got 2 less speed. He's got 1 more defense, and then he's got 2 less res. Yeah, there we go. 2 less res than Vaida. So Glenn is a sword unit, so you may find different use cases for him. He's got different matchups because of color disadvantage and advantage and so on. So he's still pretty good. I don't have any problems with Glenn, but Vaida, being the more recent release, scores higher for Arena and just has better stat placement overall. Okay, then we have, of course, the Arena scoring. So Vaida scores in the same bin as Fallen Lloyd, so he's going to be our proxy today. Scores as exactly the same as the female New Year Kana. 1 less bin than Panette and 2 less bins than Marnie. So these are the 2 highest scoring free-to-play units right now. We have Panette and Marnie, of course, leading the pack as you would expect. Vaida's not too far behind them, though, and she's actually absolutely usable because Lloyd and Kana are still usable for Arena, despite them scoring a little bit lower than Panette and Marnie. So Vaida being Arena viable is definitely a big plus. Okay, now finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the builds for her. So you're going to notice something on all of these builds, and it's the fact that Excel, I think, is pretty much her best go-to ace skill. On the next build we look at, we're not going to run Excel, but for the most part, Excel makes a lot of sense here, right? Because you're getting tons of attack and speed or attack and defense if you want to go for attack and defense Excel. And then it's the non-pierceable DR that really pushes this one over the top. Odd Speed Wave 4 as well, I think, is a really epic skill for her, because you're getting +6 speed to herself and allies in 2 spaces. Combos really nicely with her weapon already giving attack and defense up 6. And then it also gives her null follow-up in combat and a further drive speed up 6 if it's an odd number turn, which she can certainly make a lot of use of. Essentially just giving her like +12 speed right out of 1 passive, which is insane. Then we've also got Attack and Speed Clash 3 here on this particular build, and Soaring Echo, which goes without saying. If you can run it on your flyer, it's definitely what you want to go for. The best flying Echo skill by far. So this first build is more of a hit-and-run build. We're going to abuse Momentum 4 and No Quarter with the Sigurd Ring to do a lot of damage, and then Kanto ourselves out of the way to safety. Momentum's really great on her because she doesn't have -1 special trigger, so any ways we can get cooldown reduction for her is going to be very helpful, and Momentum 4 is going to be able to do that while giving a ton of bonus damage. So this seems like the most, I guess, common sense build to give to her. Okay, next up we have the Gale Force build. So again, we're going for Odd Speed Wave 4. I don't really think there's any argument cases for other skills. If you wanted to go more in on the support role, Infantry Speed Tactic could work as well, because it's giving speed up 6 to allies in 2 spaces that meet the tactic requirement. And then it also gives infantry allies null follow-up on top of that. So if you want to go more in on the support, I guess that could work. And you don't really want Vaida to do any fighting herself, but Odd Speed Wave 4 really pushes her into good territory there, giving null follow-up and all the extra speed. Okay, we also have Heavy Blade and Potent 4 on this build, because like I said earlier, she doesn't have -1 special trigger. So it's going to be hard to activate Gale Force at 5 hits, unless you're doing shenanigans like this. So Potent 4 lets us hit 3 times, and then Heavy Blade is giving us +2 special cooldown every time we hit. So this should make it more manageable to get to your Gale Force. And if you're running her in Arena and you have Panette on the team, Panette also does -1 cooldown to allies. So it becomes a little bit more consistent to activate Gale Force there. And then, of course, with the Sigurd Ring, we get bonus movement and Kanto 3, which allows us to take out 2 enemies and then Kanto to safety, and set up the fire tiles with Flared Sparrow, so the enemy range units are going to have a very difficult time chasing after Vaida. So that's the main reason why Flared Sparrow is here, but you could also try Sly Swift Sparrow if you want. It gives you a guaranteed follow-up, and then it gives you, I think it's attack and speed up 8, and then a further attack up 5 or damage up 5 if you have 2 active bonuses, which Vaida already gives herself 2 active bonuses. She gives herself Io's Shield and then Nullify foe bonuses. So Sly Swift Sparrow can definitely work on her, but in the long run, I think the fire tiles are just better. So that's why we're going with Flared Sparrow here. And then the final build we have is going to be a more defensive build. Try to tank the enemies. Preferably, you want to tank only the melee enemies that are doing physical damage, because this res is a massive RIP. So try to protect her with some sturdy Farsaver that can tank all the magic hits, and she should be fine afterwards. I guess you could also give her the Mystic Boost Seal if you're expecting to fight melee units with adaptive damage, like Felix, for example. But in this particular case, we're just going all in on attack and defense, and then Wyvern Rift gives us the Frozen effect, which makes it harder for enemies to get a double attack, and then it also gives non-pierceable DR and bonus damage. So should go without saying pretty much there, and those are all of the builds for Vaida. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm very happy that they actually held it down and gave her the Uber Spear. It's actually better than the Uber Spear, which is funny. But, I mean, in Fae, the Uber Spear would just be like Silver Sword level, pretty much. That's how insane the weapons are in Fae. But, yeah, pretty classic unit. Very awesome to finally get her, and I'm very excited. I'm probably going to build her once she drops tomorrow. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. This is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, fellas, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.